Okay.
Hey guys, and welcome to Tnashi's Movie Corner, and we are doing a movie showdown today. We are going to be doing the prequels versus the original trilogy. I'm going to be defending the original trilogy. Brad here is going to be supporting the prequel trilogy, and we're going to basically showcase our arguments for why we think one is better than the other, and let you guys decide based on our arguments which one is better. So, call this coin in the air so we know who goes going first.
Heads.
And it is heads. So, you will go first. I'm going to give you... let's say I'll give you 30 seconds. Go ahead. Say what you want.
Okay. Regarding the prequels are better because, for one, they have a better sense of what Jedi actually are. They go into this, you see what the Order's like, you see how they actually use a lightsaber, which is not in the original trilogy. You know, you don't have very good sword fighting there. You get that sort of thing. You got some real emotions, but more importantly, you got a more complex plot where things aren't quite what they seem, and people are having to figure out like what is really at play here, and what will this mean like for the Jedi Order, for the Republic, and for all that stuff. When you had the original trilogy, though, it's very black and white. Like, Empire's bad, Rebels good. There's nothing behind them. Just
okay. Let's go ahead. I'm going to try to interject here and get this started. What about the original trilogy? First, the use of practical effects. It actually really did a great job. You buy into it. They still hold up today. You got Luke Skywalker, who is a main character hero that we can follow throughout this entire story, and you have the whole redemption of Darth Vader and how that plays into it, the mirrors between him and Luke that go about. You have Han Solo in this movie and Chewbacca. So they do a really good supporting job. Oh, I got cut off. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I actually like the CG that's in the prequel trilogy and how complex they actually make this stuff. Like when you're looking at the space battle, for instance, in episode 3, you got a whole lot more complexity in what's going on because of what they can now do. That is not a problem. And as for Anakin, for all his problems, is somebody that you can see like actually wavers with himself, and he actually has like difficult decisions and things that go into it. Luke is just very...
Okay. Interjection. Okay, so yeah, Anakin has a little bit of development, but you can't really get behind him as a main character. He's not really the main character. He is a character in the story, but he's not the main character like Luke is. Also, Anakin has a bit of a messed up development going throughout the prequels. It kind of jumps around with him, whereas Luke has consistent development in all three movies. Also, the threat of the Empire, being the Emperor himself being at the very end there, was a nice touch. You got some really cool space battles, as well as this kind of emotional undertone that kind of builds up throughout all three films. You also got, again, the supporting characters are so strong with the main character, they just kind of work with him very well. And yeah, go ahead.
If you want to talk about supporting characters, look at Obi-Wan Kenobi in the prequels. I mean, how awesome is he? And he's kind of, in a way, this is almost as much his story as it is Anakin's, which is really good because Obi-Wan Kenobi is a good character to follow. As far as the Emperor is concerned, like, he barely shows up at the end of the last movie, and he's just like, well, aggressive thoughts are bad, even though this is kind of the way you're gonna have to go for all this stuff. And as far as the prequels made Anakin a little bit more human in the fact that he had because you could see that he's a good guy, and even when he was doing the bad things, it was because of desperation, not because he was bad.
Okay, but the thing is, with the original trilogy, again, what you have is you have all these characters that you really buy into. They're kind of characters that you can associate with, because even though they're going through these huge, deals, this big world, it all ties in together. It all feels really grounded, and that's something that you just don't quite get with the prequel trilogy. Plus, you have a lot of music. The soundtrack is just amazing. Yeah, the lightsabers aren't quite as fancy as the prequel trilogy, but they have the emotion behind them, which is very cool in my opinion. And you got the best Star Wars film of all, which is Empire Strikes Back, which is part of the original trilogy. So there's no real topping that when it comes down to it. All right, 1 minute, final thoughts.
Okay, I will say that the original trilogy does have some good things, but it's also a lot of fluff in it. How the Death Star being the cartoonish, doomsday weapon that's up in space, having that whole issue, having a lot of things that really didn't add up if you think about it and you're looking at it from... The prequels are a little bit more consistent in that matter. And as far as side characters go, you got Yoda playing a bigger role in the prequels. You got Mace Windu. You got Obi-Wan. You got the roles that Padme actually plays. Whereas in the other one, yes, Han's an okay person, but Chewie's just kind of there, more or less like a space dog. No offense to Wookiees, but he's just kind of there following Han. Doesn't really have a whole lot of individuality to him. And Leia is she's very strong-willed, but she's also very foolish. And some of her reactions to things are actually quite terrible, like the genocide of her entire people just completely plays down.
Okay, well, for my bit though, the original trilogy, it has its dark moment in the middle of the film. So you have the lighter beginning, you have the darker middle, and you have the light end. Whereas for the prequel trilogy, you don't get that. You have kind of a lighter going through, but then you end on a dark note. And that's not really what we want for a trilogy. We want to end on a good note. Plus, you have Luke Skywalker, which is, again, such a likable character that we can associate with. And we see him being introduced to all this stuff as we're introduced to it for the first time. You got Han Solo, who's a great character, played by Harrison Ford. Leia, yeah, she does her part, but she complements Han Solo well. You got characters like Boba Fett, which first show up. You got, again, the story arc of Vader and his kind of redemption. You got these awesome space battles, as well as these practical effects. You got an amazing soundtrack. And you got just this overall journey, which I think works better than the prequels, and the acting is overall better. And that is the last bit of this. So yeah, that's his piece, that's my piece. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments, who do you think won this battle? I think I did a better job, but
I disagree with you.
Right. Okay. So anyway, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and until next time, peace.